Fox News, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call the station for a voice check.
Houston, this is station. We're ready. Fox News, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check. Station, this is Fox News.
Fox
How do you
News,
hear me?
We have you loud and clear.
Great. Thank you. Scott, thank you so much for joining us. Mikhail, you as well. Scott, I want to start with you. I watched a short documentary of your preparation for leaving. It was very emotional. I want to check in with you. You're 4 months in. In addition to emotionally, but physically, how are you doing? And have you done any analysis in comparing your body now physically to your brother here on Earth?
Yeah, so I'm doing well, both mentally and physically. A lot of the experiments we do are, it's data that's collected in various ways, whether it's a blood sample and our DNA and proteins and things that we can measure that way, our bone mass, muscle mass. And some of this stuff is analyzed over periods of time and collected on the ground when I get back. So there's no real active comparison between my brother and I while I'm in space or anything that we can really see and point to as significant changes. But that's why we're doing this, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of research and a lot of papers written when I get back.
Absolutely, and I want to talk to you a little bit about, the just physically being away from your family. How often are you able to talk to them on a daily basis? Tell me about, any access to social media. I mean, a year is a really long time.
Yeah, it is a long time, and we're 1/3 of the way into this, and I think Misha would agree. We both feel like we've been up here for a really long time, like you said, and we got 2/3 in front of us. But we have a very good capability to connect with friends and family at home via a telephone that works pretty good, and it's available about 75-80% of the time. In the course of an hour, we may have 50 minutes, sometimes a full hour of availability. There's also email, and it's it's connected real time. The email is, as long as we have this KU band antenna capability that provides us with the phone, and we also have internet connection. Even though it's slow, it still allows us to get on the internet and maybe look at our ground email accounts or various social media things we can interact with ourselves from the space station. So it's a pretty good capability we have to stay connected with Earth.
Beautiful. And I have a question for Mikhail, if that's okay. Now, Mikhail, I know you were raised in a military family, so you're probably used to moving around quite a bit. So I want to ask you, what is a daily day like for you, obviously, as well as Scott? But is it hard for you not to be able to move around and go outside?
Михаил, я знаю, что вы выросли в военной семье, так что вы привыкли переезжать, куда-то всегда перемещаться, а теперь получается так, что вы не можете никуда выйти за порог. Хотелось бы об этом спросить. Какой у вас типичный день теперь?
You're absolutely right. I'm a military brat. My father was a military pilot. Но я с вами не согласен, что я не могу никуда выходить отсюда. Вот через 10 дней у нас...
Well, I disagree that I'm not getting outside the threshold because we are going to have an EVA soon. So I will be out, airing myself out for about 7 hours. And every day we go around the world. So I can't complain. Everything's wonderful, but thank you for a good question.
Okay, I'm going to follow up with that, Mikhail. Just one more. Tell me more about your spacewalk that's going to be happening. Is it August 10th still?
Расскажите мне, пожалуйста, поподробнее по поводу вашего выхода. Он назначен на 10 августа, да?
Совершенно верно, мы будем...
Absolutely correct. The EVA is on August 10th. It will be about 6.5 to 7 hours, as I said before, and we will have about 10 tasks. We will have to swap some hardware that is attached outside the station. We will have to take some samples of station surfaces. So we will have technical and biological tasks. And we are about half ready for the EVA. We'll have to check out our suits and do the leak checks, but we do know what to do, how to prepare for the EVA, and we are looking forward to it. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Scott. I have another question for you. We've been following your career as well as your brother's. How does this mission differ from missions in years past? And can you give me and our viewers a little details about the crew that's up there with you?
You know, all my flights have been different. The first three, each of them was a lot different. I was a pilot on a space shuttle mission to the Hubble Space Telescope, and then I was the commander of the space shuttle to the space station. This space station, obviously, for a space station assembly flight, and then my last flight was a long duration flight on the space station where I was up here for 159 days. And then, you know, this one in a lot of ways is similar, but in one very significant way, it's much different, and that is it's over twice as long as the last time, and you know, that's like you know, a lot of people realize that makes it somewhat of a challenge, and I recognize that too. But one interesting thing, and that's part of the next part of your question, is it allows me to be up here with a bunch of different people. We had 3 crew members that left almost about a little over 2 months ago, and it was a great experience being up here with them. Samantha Cristoforetti from ESA, Terry Virts from NASA, and Anton Skaplerov, and just recently, about a week ago, we got 3 new crew members that replaced them. Kimi Yui from JAXA, Kjell Lindgren from NASA, and Oleg Kornienko from the Russian Space Agency. And in about a month, we're going to have 3 more people come up here, and we'll have a crew of 9. And then eventually the 3 guys that have got up here will leave after their 6-month stint is over, and we'll get more crew members. So, you know, by the whole time we're here, Misha and I will be up here with 13 different people, which makes it, you know, a much richer experience being able to share this great space station with so many varied people from a bunch of different countries.
Right, and you're not lonely. And I know we only have about a minute left, and I know your time is very valuable, but I do want to ask you about the young people today. Growing up, you know, I remember it was the best time of year when we held the science fair and we learned so much about space and the planets. Do you think that your mission this year up there is going to reignite the passion of young people, especially with the release of the new photos of Pluto?
Well, you know, I hope, not only what Misha and I are doing here, but, you know, our entire program, the International Space Station program, as well as the other thing, like, you know, you mentioned the science mission to Pluto. What we do is very, very challenging, and it's, it's got some risk. It's got great rewards. And I hope, you know, people look at this flight and, NASA's experience in general with the international partnership as something to motivate kids to do things that are challenging and hard and then be successful at them and proud of themselves for it.
Well, I know your time is very valuable. Scott, thank you very much for joining us. Mikhail, you as well. Thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing the results of your year up in space. Thanks again.
Enjoyed talking to you today.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the Fox News portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from Reuters TV.
Station, this is Reuters TV. How do you hear me?
We have you loud and clear. Welcome aboard the International Space Station.
It's a real honor. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. So, Scott, I'd like to start with you. You're about a third of the way through this mission. How are you feeling at this point, and have there been any surprises for you?
I'm feeling great. I think Misha's feeling great as well. I think we still have a lot of energy left in the tank, so to speak. And I guess the only surprise was when I first got up here, how I felt like I'd kind of picked up where I left off, and it's kind of amazing how your body and your ability to work in this environment remembers what it was like the last time. So that's really the only surprise I've had.
Okay, it's really fun to watch you guys just do a somersault there. Are you used to the microgravity environment? Does it still thrill you? Are you just accustomed to it? And can you do another somersault for us? Because that's fun to watch.
It never really gets old for me, and you get much better at it, flipping around. In some ways, though, it does become somewhat transparent to you at times, which then when you kind of recognize when it's becoming sort of a transparent thing, you think, wow, this is really weird that I'm living up here where everything floats and I'm in space for so long.
It's awesome to see. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're feeling in terms of staying in touch with family and friends? How do you keep up with current events? And you're making a real splash on social media with all those pictures, the Nile and the sunsets. They're just extraordinary. Were you planning that? Does it happen organically? And how connected do you feel to folks back here?
Well, we have a really good capability to stay connected with our telephone we have that's available, most of the time, probably about 75-80% of the time. We have email that's, kind of real-time synced up. Our inboxes are. And then we have a capability to access the internet, and that's kind of how I post things on Twitter and other places. So we do have a good capability to stay connected, which is great. And as far as the pictures and stuff I post, it's fun for me, and I think people, they connect with things that with the Earth and things that they can see and things that are beautiful. And we have the Earth's passing down right now. We're over the Pacific Ocean. We can look down 250 miles, and it's always an incredible view.
I can only imagine. Real quickly before I move on to Mikhail, tell me about the science and the research. How's it going, the twin study? What sort of progress are you making?
Yeah, so we have, this is an incredible laboratory. We have over 400 different experiments going on over the course of the year that Misha and I are here. And they're in all different types of disciplines. There are they're basically broken up into, 3 different categories. There's the international science. It's a pretty large range of scientific disciplines. And then the NASA stuff is devoted to things that allow us to understand better about our, systems on the space station, but then us physically, so we can travel further away from space, exploration-based science. And then there's the stuff that is, more Earth-looking, whether it's actually, sensors and monitoring the Earth's environment, but also ways to improve life on Earth, whether it's, with a medical-type experiment, developing new treatments or drugs for certain ailments, or whether they're experiments that look at certain physical properties, so maybe we can make a better, more fuel-efficient engine. So it's basically along those lines. And as far as the experiment with my brother and I, that's one part of the science that's exploration based. But a lot of those samples are stuff that are analyzed later, and even the ones that were returned on the Soyuz, for instance, my understanding is they've gotten great data. Now, as far as analyzing that data and comparing, how my DNA has changed in the course of the time I've been here compared to my brother, I haven't heard any results on that, and I don't expect to until after I get home.
one more quick question for you. How is life aboard the space station now that you're up to the full 6-member staffing?
It's great having company. And the other interesting thing about that is great sharing the experience with two people that have never flown in space before, Kjell Lindgren from NASA and Kimiya Yui from the Japanese Space Agency. It's great seeing this place a little bit through their eyes and how magical a place it is. And they've been on board a week now, and they're doing absolutely great. Performing like veterans, feeling great, and it's great to share this experience with them.
Thank you. Mikhail, what is the status of Spacewalk's plan to prepare the station for upcoming U.S. commercial crew vehicles, especially following the loss of the Spacex Dragon cargo ship in June?
Михаил, как у вас идут дела с подготовкой к выходу? Я знаю, что одна из целей этого выхода – это подготовка к приему коммерческих кораблей. И также, как у вас дела вот после того, как потеряли один корабль?
У нас выход будет где-то дней через 10.
The EVA will be in about 10 days, August 10th.
И там достаточно много задач.
And there will be a lot of tasks, and of course one of them is what you mentioned, and also we have to do some work on science, hardware, and to do some work with the external exposure experiments, and to prepare for commercial vehicles. And as to the loss of one of the vehicles, well, it can happen. So we are going to breathe some fresh air outside the station. So we are going to cross our threshold. I think the others who are not doing the EVA are a bit envious, but they will be their turn.
Able to send a supply ship in July. What impacts have you felt from the back-to-back losses of those cargo shipments in April and June?
Well, from a supply standpoint, we're in fine shape on board the space station, and we'll continue to be. We need HTV to get up here, or we start running low on things. But we have every expectation that will happen. We were gonna. I think what you were alluding to in the previous question about the commercial vehicles and the EVA were some EVAs we had upcoming here on the U.S. segment of the space station. And some of that hardware was lost, but we'll recover from it. We have some other capability on the ground that we can, prepare and then launch, and have the commercial vehicle capability ready for when it's required. So, any things that we lost on those two vehicles has been somewhat transparent to us. With the exception of we're not preparing for those U.S. EVAs that we were going to be doing a little bit sooner.
Okay, and one more question here. Just in terms of daily life, I think people are fascinated on what it's like up there. Are you feeling cooped up? Are you feeling claustrophobic? Do you miss nature? Is there anything you miss? Or are you still really excited and fascinated by what happens every day?
That's, it's an interesting question. I personally don't feel like claustrophobic, but I do recognize there's a sense of like a loss of freedom to kind of do, what you choose. You have a very structured schedule, and you follow that schedule, very closely. And, if you wanted to deviate from it, you really don't have that capability. And I also get the sense that you don't have the capability to like go outside and take a walk and put your feet in the grass and, go swimming, jump in the, take a shower, things like that. That's definitely recognized. So there are some hardships that we live with up here, but on the other hand, it's an amazing place. It's fascinating, and it's a great experience. So. I don't think claustrophobic is the right word, but you definitely get a sense that, you're here and you're not leaving for a long time.
Well, it's fascinating to be able to do this interview with you, and a real honor. Thank you for giving us this time. We so appreciate it, and we wish you the best.
Our pleasure. Enjoyed talking to you today.
Thank you.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes the event.